Island 45 years ago in Gulf Coast of Virginia. And so I really mean it when I say I'm honored to be here. I know what you do, I know the challenges you have, and I have the utmost respect for your profession and your dedication. So thank you for having me here today. I've always been a biographer. I grew up in Williamsburg, Virginia, the colonial capital, where my mother was a historian. A wonderful place to grow up, so rich in history. I read every biography in my elementary school library, the little blue ones, I don't remember them. Louisa May Alcott, George Washington Carver. But living in Williamsburg, I was able to observe great men and women. I met several presidents through my mother, Eisenhower, Kennedy. I remember her stopping us on the street and introducing us to a young King Hussein. At my high school Foreign Affairs Club, we had Marshal Tito to address us. I remember in elementary school, we were all marched up to the main street, and we stood there for an hour waiting for a carriage to come by, and the carriage was a young Queen Elizabeth, and she's still my queen. So my second biography is of Huey Long. Why Huey? You always get the question as a biographer, well, why did you choose this character? Why did you spend so many years embedded into this man's life and mind? I just finished an earlier biography of Theodore Roosevelt at the time, on his younger years in Washington. And I was teaching a graduate course at LSU. I still teach it on state and local government. And you cannot teach a course in state and local government in Louisiana without really trying to understand Louisiana. And a lot of what I talk about as I go through Huey Long and the Louisiana exceptionalism really spins off with Mississippi. I mean, there's a lot of cultural lessons here. So don't accuse me of being too focused on Louisiana, because I think it really affects all of us in here. But I was teaching a graduate course on state and local government. And as you get deep into that, you start to ask yourself, why is Louisiana different? Or is it? Is it really that different? Is it a state that can fit those models where we grade different states on their individualism, for example, and other categories? There are lots of evidence. You can start with the Napoleonic Code. Louisiana is the only state that uses the written Napoleonic Code as opposed to precedent. Louisiana businessmen don't give out business cards. Everything is relationship related. Probably the biggest difference are drive-through daiquiri bars. Have you tried to tell your friends up north, that they have drive-through daiquiri bars down here? They think we're crazy. How can you legally do that? Drive. It's the most libertarian state in the Union, by far. All the different studies bring that out. It's the most lobbyist-influenced state. It has the most corruption in its state government. There are no city managers in Louisiana. It's the only state without any city managers. And there's nothing in the Constitution that outlaws that. You could legally have city managers. You have them in Mississippi. Why don't you have city managers in Louisiana, where the city council or the county board will bring in an outsider to run that government, a hired gun? In Louisiana, it doesn't exist. Why not? Well, one, our political system would kill that poor person. They wouldn't last a week. But it's more basic than that. It comes down to trust. A trust in politics, a trust in the system. And we're probably the most mistrustful state of institutions, and Louisiana and Mississippi is probably pretty close there. Why is this? Well, why is Louisiana so different? Well, certainly the culture, very mixed races. The Creole culture is dominant. Catholicism. But I think one of the biggest factors is that Louisiana is the only state that entered the Union with absolutely no experience with democracy. It went right from French rule into statehood. It didn't have any experiences with the House of Burgesses in Virginia, New England town meetings, those experiences where people were able to exert some political rights. And even today, Louisianans have that tremendous mistrust of government, but also a reluctance to get involved for that reason. They mistrust government officials, but they look upon them as royalty. We're starting to lead into some strong reasons why you could create a Huey Long or an Edwin Evans. Whereas in other states, that sort of demagogue would favor. I have a colleague at LSU who explains some of this, what I call Louisiana exceptionalism, by a simple word. He calls it thickness. And you'll understand this in Mississippi. The thickness of our food, our weather, our personal and family relations that are much higher on a percentage-wise than in other localities. Our first loyalty is to the family. It's lessened over the years, but it's still, comparatively speaking, much higher down here than in other regions of the country. The thickness of our politics, corrupt or not. These are differences that really make a difference. So as I taught this course on state and local government, the discussion and my own questioning kept leading back to Huey Long. And I found that in many ways Huey was both the cause and the effect of the differences in Louisiana. These differences allowed Huey to come to power. And once he took power, he made Louisiana even more different. For one thing, Huey helped to really expand the pit bull politics that we have today in the state. Louisiana is the only state that has the open primary. Everyone is in the race, no matter what the party, at the different levels. Huey would love that. He would love that. And that has a lot of consequences on the political system. So I started looking into doing a work on Huey Long. It had been 40 years since T. Harry Williams wrote his Pulitzer Prize biography, which is a landmark biography. There's very little to compare it to. But I felt a new biography was needed. And a lot of people have asked me, during the process, how could someone write a biography of Huey Long after T. Harry Williams? And my answer would be like, if you ask the question, how could someone write a biography of Abraham Lincoln after Carl Sandburg?